Back on the Sports Zone, I am Mike Aglialoro. Once again, thanks to everyone who subscribed to the YouTube channel Mike Ags 121. Don't forget to subscribe under the video if you haven't done so, and check us out on thisissportszone.com for more. So once again, we're here, Fantasy Football Week 7 on Sit 'em Down. We went 5-3 last week. To continue our good start to the season, we are 27-21 after 6 weeks. So let's begin Week 7. Starting at the quarterback position, not a fan of Matt Ryan on the road going into Baltimore this week, nor am I a fan of Colin Kaepernick on the road going against the Denver Broncos this week. Ryan is priced at $8,500. Kaepernick is priced at $7,800. You could do a lot better for that cash, spending in much better positions. Ryan has been terrible like the rest of the Falcons on the road this season. Doesn't look to be getting any easier against Baltimore. And while Kaepernick is coming off of his best week of the season against the Rams on Monday night, the Broncos defense has actually been pretty good against opposing quarterbacks. I don't really look for Kaepernick to do too much in this game. And at $7,800, like I said, you could do a lot better for that money this week. Tony Romo is only priced at $8,000, and he's probably going to have a good game against the New York Giants this week, even though I'm not really expecting a big game from there. I just think he's going to do better than Kaepernick, that's all. Moving on to running back, the guys I'm not really that crazy about this week is Lamar Miller of the Miami Dolphins on the road against the Chicago Bears, or Frank Gore of the aforementioned 49ers going against the Denver Broncos, both priced at $7,200. Miller is going to have a good season now that Noshawn Moreno is no longer a factor. He was put on IR this past week, so he's done. But I just don't like the matchup against that Bears defense in Chicago. At $7,200, you could do a lot better with guys like Andre Ellington and Ben Tate out there. And the same goes for Frank Gore, who only put up 37 rushing yards against the Rams defense. Broncos defense isn't great, but they are better than the Rams, so you pass on both those guys. At wide receiver, you want to stay away from Kelvin Benjamin this week, who came out of the Bengals game last Sunday with a concussion, is questionable for this week, and even if he does start, he's going to be less than 100%. You really don't want him in that type of atmosphere coming off the concussion. It's better to pass on him. At $6,900, you could do a lot better for that money. DeAndre Hopkins, another guy I'm very high on over the course of the season, definitely a guy you want to target if you're in a keeper league. Again, not crazy about the matchup, going against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Hasn't had a great last couple weeks, basically been declining since they faced the Cowboys a couple weeks ago, put up an egg last week, and it doesn't look to get any easier against that Steelers defense. And lastly, Brandon Cooks of the New Orleans Saints on the road against the Detroit Lions has been very shaky over the first 5 games for the Saints. Coming off the bye, you don't really know what to expect from that offense, so you pass on him against the surprising Lions secondary. You can do better at $6,600. Finally, at tight end, the guy you want to stay away from is Greg Olsen of the Carolina Panthers on the road against the aforementioned Green Bay Packers. At $7,200, Olsen is overpriced. The value with him comes from being one of the guys who you can get under $7,000, somewhere in the $6,500 to $5,500 range. Whenever you see him at $7,200, expect him to disappoint you. It's not going to be any different this week, especially given a week where he's been nursing an ankle injury and he has been limited in practice. So I don't like the matchup. Maybe you want to wait for him to be just a tad bit healthier than he is right now. And the Packers actually defend against the tight end fairly well. They're in the top 10 for least amount of total fantasy points allowed to tight end through the first 6 weeks of the season. So once again, the guys you want to avoid this week at quarterback, you want to stay away from Colin Kaepernick of the San Francisco 49ers and Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. You want to avoid Frank Gore of the 49ers and Lamar Miller of the Miami Dolphins. At wide receiver, Kelvin Benjamin of the Panthers, DeAndre Hopkins of the Texans, and Brandon Cooks of the Saints are the guys you want to avoid. And at tight end, you want to stay away from Greg Olsen of the Carolina Panthers. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at WeAreSportsZone. Send us any questions and comments you may have. Thanks to everyone who subscribes to the YouTube channel Mike Ags 121, and thanks to everyone for watching. For This is SportsZone, I am Mike Aglialoro. We will see you next time, guys.